The final frontier and the unavoidable high ground for today's militaries is space. Years ago, it was expected that whoever controlled the skies would win the fight, but now space has become the new strategic high ground that countries must defend against their adversaries if they want to be certain of winning. Hello and welcome to KYC News. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. What would Space Force do in today's episode? Why is a contemporary military so focused on space? The answer can be found from the special vantage point that space offers, where you can observe everything happening in the planet at once thanks to a small constellation of satellites. Furthermore, the opponent won't be hidden from your view by a wet day thanks to cloud-penetrating radar. With today's high-tech weapons, being able to see means being able to target an adversary. Everything take use of sophisticated recon capabilities and everything from cruise missiles to GPS-guided artillery shells. To find, pursue, and eliminate an adversary. Because of this, we no longer carpet bomb our adversaries as we did during World War II. However, conventional radio communications only function when there is enough room for them, due to the curvature of the Earth's surface, for short distances, and can be susceptible to atmospheric hostile interference, interception, or jamming. However, military units can always communicate directly with a satellite in orbit, regardless of where they are in the world, and satellites enable a military to use very modern, secure, and difficult to intercept communication technology or jam. Space is crucial because it allows for constant observation of your adversary, and your buddies are always available to talk to. And with so many advanced military systems, no country on Earth is more at risk than others. More significant than the United States, which has roughly twice as many space assets. The second-place challenger, Russia, has 74 military satellites. But what specifically would an American Space Force do? Well, initially, it wouldn't be as glitzy as what you see in science fiction films, but provided given the speed at which human technology is developing, it won't be long until we take war will inevitably follow us into the heavens. Consolidating all the diverse space assets would be the first task of a U.S. Space Force. Each branch of the American military has. American military satellites are now distributed among the various branches of the military, the Army, Navy, and Air Force, as well as several federal agencies like being known as the National Reconnaissance Office. It might be challenging to coordinate amongst all those resources and allies in the event of a major battle. Openly exchange information between the services. The U.S. Space Force plays a role in this. Would enter. The Space Force would be created by combining all of the U.S. military space assets into one branch. Make it simpler to organize the dissemination of crucial information and react to enemies' attacks aimed at destroying or sabotaging American military satellites. Commanders in a battle zone would only be able to contact one agency for assistance as opposed to attempting to simultaneously gather information from several agencies. Military observation and reconnaissance would also be the responsibility of the Space Force. It would be in charge of creating new recon technology and working with American companies. Industry on the best way to launch them into space. The Space Force would monitor for hostile activity once in space and be prepared to react instantly if you suspect an attack. Call the police. But during times of peace, Space Force observation would be crucial. U.S. space assets have been the primary information source on North Korea. Atomic program. American space assets were able to identify potential test locations by carefully monitoring them. When subsurface explosions were occurring, calculating yield, and even providing information about the kind of weapon tested. We could see from reconnaissance images of missile test sites how near we were to developing and perfecting in reality. North Korea was a long-range missile. The U.S. Space Force would eventually assume these responsibilities, therefore its members must be on high alert at all times for renegade states. the logistics sector would fall under the purview of the U.S. Space Force. Where moving even a few pieces of military equipment would take a day or more, an orbiting logistics hub might have provided transport by air, sea, or land from one area to another. Within a few hours, the identical hardware can be located anywhere in the world. Even if this is still outside the current capabilities of our technology, it's not that far off. The Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA, of the United States has been examining the requirements for delivering goods from space to the Earth years in safety. While we might witness orbital drops of equipment, such as food and weapons, in the upcoming years, it might not be long until American forces find themselves in need of medical supplies and supplies. Stationed in space, prepared to launch at a moment's notice. Putting 2,000 American boots on the ground, as one senior American official famously put it, many wars could be averted before they start if someone could travel everywhere in the world in 2 hours. But if you can put weapons there instead of troops, why bother? While most American defense officials find the militarization of space to be a contentious issue, are not looking forward to launching a new armed confrontation, the truth is that there's a good chance that actual weapons will someday be launched into space. Despite the fact that the Outer Space Treaty prohibits the use of weapons of mass devastation in space, specifically forbid the use of conventional weapons, a situation that the Soviet Union exploited. When it was the first and only country to launch a weapon into space in the 1970s. The R-23M Carteg gun was installed on its Alma's space station and was created to fire shells with explosives at American spacecraft. However, the Carteg was just the beginning of what was possible if you put in the effort. Make space a weapon. The U.S. military investigated the potential for rods from God, also known by the codename Thor. Constructing a strike platform for orbital launch using only solid tungsten rods to conduct destructive bombardments against enemy sites. The bombs are 20 feet long and 1 foot in diameter. Or troop gatherings. Cold War threatened to be swallowed up by the swarms of Soviet tanks, which were hopelessly outnumbered. American researchers were hunting for a technique to disarm massive armored columns in Europe without the use of nuclear weapons, hence reducing the possibility of nuclear conflict. They hypothesized that a solid tungsten rod the size of a telephone pole might be powered only by kinetic energy and could deliver with simply a pair of fins and a very basic steering system. An explosion similar to that produced by a small tactical nuclear bomb. Physics demonstrates that they were correct. If those rods had been dropped from orbit, they would have speeds 10 times as fast as sound. Each rod would have produced an immense amount of force, since force equals mass times acceleration of power. Despite President Trump's executive order, the U.S. Space Force's mission and goals, which according to the majority of defense sources is still undergoing formal review, a specialized space force is not yet necessary. However, as evidenced by the growth of the American commercial space industry, it is inevitable for humans to travel throughout the solar system and beyond, because as our own history demonstrates, there is war. The United States and every other advanced country on Earth will eventually require or may be at the mercy of those who possess a space force. What are your thoughts on the U.S. Space Force, then? Should the U.S. be putting forth more effort now to help avert future conflicts? Would it merely encourage other countries to begin militarizing space? Post your comments to let us know what you think. Watch our other video, Moab, the mother of all bombs, as well. As usual, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you again soon.